I'm sure most of you have seen the viral video on where this young lady, who is a holistic juice influencer with over 735,000, I think, followers on Instagram, had accused this man who she had consensual sex with. She accused him of rape, and he was literally facing 12 years behind bars. Shortly afterwards, another man did some undercover work and got her on video, admitting that she had set the guy up and she had actually lied about him.
Because I've done all this. There's evidence. I've been in my clothes. He banged me, babe. Like, we had sex, yeah? And he's denying that he was even there.
How can you do that if you got arrested in your house?
No, so one was for an occasion where he left.
Yeah.
The other time he was there, but he claimed that we didn't have sex, but there was evidence to say that we have.
Alright, cool. You can.
I don't care. I want to take him to the cleaners, babe.
Yeah, but this is what I thought about. This is what I was filming. I thought about him.
Because I hate him because he's so much like me. Like, it annoys me.
But Victoria, listen to me carefully, yeah? Your skill is that you can detect a victim you want and rate them. That's what you do. You enjoy doing that. It doesn't mean you've got a victim involved.
No, it doesn't.
It just means
I've just got one over. That's all.
Yeah, but it means you got desperate that you weren't able to hurt him. You pulled a fake. You know what I'm saying? So
that's still gonna hurt him. He hates that. And the thing is, he's gonna go out continuing to fuck up girls' lives. Yeah. With an assault charge and a rape charge. He'll think twice about what he does next time when he meets the next girl.
Yeah, fair enough.
Think
but
twice
it's
about
a fake rape charge. So what have you won from that?
So what? The guy lies for a living. Let him have a taste of his own medicine. That's all.
Now, I did cover it in this video. The shocking lesson the Andrew Tate case teaches us about female nature. And because this and other videos have gotten a lot of attention, a lot of men in the manosphere had covered this, and it went bonkers on TikTok as well.
victoriaEverest, what should happen to her? She should go to prison. It shouldn't even be a question. It should go to trial and then send her down. victoriaEverest is a health influencer.
She has now come forward and given her point of view. And from this video and this interview, gentlemen, once again, you're going to learn more about female nature. So definitely not going to go through the whole video. It's about a 45-minute video. I'm going to cover some key points. And then, of course, I'm going to put a link to the video in the comment section and also in the description of this video. So we're going to get into that today, my friends. Hit that subscribe button if you've not subscribed to this channel, please. I'm always here to support men. This is a male's advocate channel. That's why I have to bring you content that covers male issues, the stuff that's going to protect you, my friends, okay? Because we're not living in a patriarchy, as they like to call it. We're living in a gynocentric society that the feminists are taking advantage of, and men are being put on the back burner, and we're treated like second-class citizens. So it's essential, gentlemen, to protect yourself and know but more importantly, to understand female nature. All right, so let's get into this video, my friends. Please like the video on the way in.
Jason paid Gucci to release the video.
So let's talk about the video.
As a result of that video being provided to the police, I was charged, caution, and I had to go on probation. So I have a criminal record. And
are you saying that you wanted to get him back because of the abuse?
I called the police 19 times because I was at fear of my life.
What was the psychological effects that it had on you? How would you describe that?
I kept finding myself in relationships with abusive men.
Do you think that your father being absent in your life contributed to how you view men?
I witnessed the most horrific acts of domestic violence. I'm talking, my mum was regularly beaten black and blue.
You said that this video was made nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah, I can't even believe somebody could hold on to a video that long.
Why is it being released now?
I don't know. I think you need to ask him that question.
When did you decide that in order for me to get him back, because that's what you mentioned in the video, that you were going to make this false allegation? Like, when did that thought process land?
Like, I felt that at that point that the only person that could stop this man was me.
So that's the intro to the video. This is a UK channel. It's called Off the Record. And they did a very good job of a sort of a soft interview at first, and then they got down to the facts. So because of that soft intro, I'm going to cut through a lot of because you'll soon see how this woman is trying to paint herself. Okay? But the question you need to ask yourself is, what else can she do?
Welcome to Off the Record, a platform for individuals to speak their truth, discuss their thoughts, and own their stories. We will be having candid conversations dissecting various events, asking the questions we are all eager to know, and hopefully coming to graceful conclusions. I'm your host, Mide Oni, the one and only. Let's get into it. Today, we are joined by somebody that has gone viral the last couple of days for something very controversial and very sensitive to a lot of people. She is here today to discuss her side of the story and hopefully clear some questions up. Please welcome to the show, victoriaEverest. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking. I mean, this has been a very intense couple of days for you, I'm sure. How have you been feeling? How are you managing?
Actually, I've managed to stay quite grounded. I've got an excellent support network and community around me, which I'm just incredibly grateful for. I'm in the middle of a 21-day juice fast, which has really just allowed me to just not react to things that are being said online, but really just respond with truth and clarity. So I'm super, super grateful for this opportunity to set the record straight.
She's in the middle of a juice fast. She's about to do a freaking interview defending a lie that she perpetrated. And she's in the middle of a juice fast. She's immediately trying to sell her business. My wife looked at the original video and she said, that's a psychopath. That woman is a psychopath. And you'll probably see a lot of traits that are very psychopathic, because this woman's degree of empathy and shame is non-existent, and you're starting to see it right here in the beginning of the interview. Now, she claims that this all happened 10 years ago, but imagine if a guy had raped a woman 10 years ago, or even 20 years ago. What do you think would be happening to him right now? He'd be in prison. We have proof of men who have committed rape, SA, etc. years, decades prior, and they're now paying the price for it. Reputation shot, jobs lost, court cases open. So time does not excuse someone else's bad behavior when it comes to such serious events. If it can work for men, it has to work for women as well.
So before we get started, tell us a bit about yourself. You've got an amazing platform in terms of wellness and fitness and caring for the body. So for those people that don't know you prior to this scandal, tell us a bit more about what you do and who you are.
So I run one of the fastest growing detox and wellness academies in the world, and we teach people essentially how they can reclaim their health, giving them tools and techniques, predominantly based around fasting, but also other health healing modalities. So movement's a really big part of that. I also support, I guess through my time of growing my community, I support a huge community of people online with just daily inspiration, providing them guidance around juicing, working out, health, wellness. That's essentially what I do in a nutshell.
Obviously, you're not in the studio with me. So where exactly are you?
So I'm currently in Jamaica. We are in the middle of running our Reset Wellness Retreat, where people across the world fly in for a week to come.
All right. Listen, I'm not here to advertise her business. So we're going to fast forward. Let's get into the juice a bit. I wanted you guys to get to know a little bit about her. If you go to her Instagram page, she has shut down the comment section, limited, or comments, I guess. But she was getting a lot of heat. But I strongly feel that, man, there should be a price paid for somebody like this who wants to deliberately hurt men. And listen, if this was a man who did this to a woman, I would want that man to go through the same degree of punishment as well. So please don't get me wrong. Equal justice should be served on both sides.
Let him have a taste of his own medicine. I want to take him to the cleaners, babe.
Yeah, I thought that, yeah. It just means
I've just got one over, that's all.
Yeah, but it means...
I'm saying this for my fellow criminal defence lawyers. Before you come at us and question how we can defend someone accused of rape, remember this lady. VictoriaEverest was secretly filmed admitting she made up an allegation of rape against a man just to hurt him. So next time you try to use outrage or assumption to shame me for defending the accused, think of her and think of the facts carefully before you speak your opinion.
But what we're seeing is nothing happens to the woman, but the man pays a horrible, horrible price. There's two things that men should not be subjected to without extreme, and I say extreme scrutiny. That is the accusation of rape, and there should be mandatory paternity tests. And if a woman commits paternity fraud, whether she knows it or not, she should be either imprisoned if she can't repay the amount of money that the man paid for another man's seed. Those are the two most serious things you can do to a man. If women can get raped and the man pays the greatest price ever, which is loss of reputation, loss of income, and loss of any sort of life as he knows it, the woman should be able to pay the same price. Tell me I'm wrong. I see that as being completely fair. So now she's going to go through a little bit about how she actually became the person she became. Always the problem, and this is what you got to understand, is that why the woman did it is how she justifies that she's here. And everybody must sympathize because that's what she went through. But why a man did it, they don't give a shit. No one cares. No one freaking cares. You did it. We don't care about your backstory. And this is what I'm trying to get across to you, gentlemen. No one cares about a man's backstory. But we have to listen and sympathize with the female backstory of why she did what she did. Why she could simply destroy another man's life, an innocent man.
From the ages of 12 to 16, so from year 7, to year 11, I went to 6 different secondary schools. I was expelled 3 times. I'd got myself involved with, a gang of criminals, to say it quite frankly. And I almost got myself murdered at the age of 15. I was on the front page of Hackney Gazette because I had been kidnapped, taken, by the kidnappers to a river, had all of my hair cut off. I had a bag put over my head and thrown into the river. I was in a hospital for 2 weeks in concussion. And as a result of that, there was multiple attacks at that time. But as a result of that first attack, I was put into witness protection, which I later came out of because I just...
Look at the interviewer's face. Like, what the hell? I'm doing the same thing. I'm like, really? Wow. This is what sociopaths and psychopaths do. They will spin a story. Remember, this woman is a liar up front. We know that she lies. She lies to commit the most heinous crime ever. You don't think she's going to be making up a lot of this shit now in a less threatening position? Now that she has to try to preserve her reputation? Whew. Oh, this is good. Let's listen to the tales. I cannot say yay or nay whether they're true. Neither can you. But it's quite entertaining just listening to her right now.
To witness protection, which I later came out of because I decided not to pursue the charges. But at that point, I also was in social services by the age of 15. I was in a foster home. My dad wasn't around, like I said. And both my parents really tried their best with me. I am an only child. And I think by the point where they realized that my life was in serious danger growing up, at the time I was in Hackney. So, when they realized that my life was in serious danger, my dad decided to step in and remove me from the UK. And I ended up finishing my studies in Germany. I went to the Berlin British School and I ended up finishing year 11.
Okay, wow, that's a lot to take in. There's so much to unpack in what you've just said. But what I want to touch on is you mentioned you talk about your dad, but where was your mum when all of this was happening?
I also lost my mum in 2021 to COVID. She was 56 years young, so...
Why did she have to bring up the death of her mother? Where was your mother in all this? That was only 5 years ago. You're talking about events that happened over a decade ago. Once again, she's looking for the sympathy.
That's, talking about my mum, always get a little bit emotional. But up until the age of 12, my mum played a really active role in my life. She was the mum that would take me to every single after-school club, swimming, horse riding. She is...
Horseback riding? You're talking about equestrian? Swimming in the UK? So that means... So what about foster home and all of that? Where was... I see a contradiction here. Your mother obviously treated you well, but you gave this story about being in a foster home and you were... man, I don't know. Something's not adding up here, dear. Something's not adding up. This is when the lies start to intertwine with BS.
An incredibly, incredibly strong and inspiring woman that poured nothing but love and nurturance into me growing up. But when I hit the age of 12, she met somebody, and the person that she had met was living in Tottenham at the time. We were living in South London in West Norwood. And within a few months of meeting this individual, he was a Turkish man, she fell pregnant. They decided they were going to get married and have a child. So essentially at the age of 12, my mum had decided to start a new family. And I think that's really when my struggles with men really began. And throughout those years, throughout those teenage years, throughout the adolescent years, from the time that my mum was with this man, his name was Sayed, I witnessed the most horrific acts of domestic violence. I'm talking, my mum was regularly beaten black and blue in front of me, had her hair dragged, had her teeth kicked in while she was pregnant to my younger brother. My stepdad kicked her in the stomach. And, it was just one of those things growing up. I ended up really resenting, because I had no control. As a teenager, I had no control. I had no way of protecting my mum. And I thought, definitely at the time, maybe I can seek safety and comfort on the streets. And that's what I did. I got taken in by the streets. And I remember, 14, 15, that was another thing as well. Whilst I was still at home, I also had challenges because my mum, being Turkish, is white. My stepdad was white. My little brother was also white. So I also felt like I didn't fit in. My dad wasn't around. So the closest...
Wow. So now she pulled up horrible father, vulnerability of a pregnant mom, being kicked in the stomach. She's painted this amazing picture of everything that went wrong in her life. And of course, she had to pull out that ultimate card, the race card. They were all white and I was brown. The ultimate problem was I was brown. Oh, gentlemen, we have to look past the bullshit.
The closest space, or I guess the closest I could feel home was really the safety on the streets. And I remember going through my teenage years thinking one day I'm gonna kill this man for what he's put my mum through. And that's essentially, I think, was the beginning of, the relationship, the beginning, I guess the beginning of it all was witnessing domestic violence, the severity of what my mum went through growing up. And I know a lot of people can relate in Turkish cultures, especially Turkish, Arabic, any kind of ethnic culture, to be beaten by your husband is normalized. It's one of those things that it's like, women just have to endure it. We have to accept it. And,
No. Don't bring that shit up. This is in the freaking 60s. No. There are laws set up around the entire globe. Can't do that shit. Not even in Saudi, when I lived there 10 years ago, that this was even acceptable. You can't do it. You could not do it as a husband. Your ass would have been in jail. Worldwide, the laws change. So don't bring up this crap. I know. I live in the Middle East. I've been living here for 17 years. And I know all the different cultures, whether it's Egyptian, Lebanese, Turkish, they're all the same. You can't do this shit anymore. Men cannot abuse their wives. And plus what? Living in Europe, where you were living in Europe, that was acceptable. No. If a neighbor hears the wife getting her butt kicked, the police would come and that husband would be in serious trouble. So your bullshit has a lot of holes in it, man.
That my mum, because of the sake of my younger brother, she stayed in that relationship.
What was the psychological effects that it had on you? How would you describe that?
It almost normalized it, so it was no coincidence when I hit 26, 27 that I found I kept finding myself in relationships with abusive men.
Wow. So now you've heard her story on why she's such a horrible person. That's her excuse. Now let's end it off with why she did this to this particular man.
So let's talk about the video, the recent viral video. So when the video first dropped, you mentioned that it was fake and it was AI. Can we talk a bit about that? Like, what did you mean?
So given the size and scale of my account, I'm not the person that always is behind running my account. So the video was sent to me. And my first response to the video was that this has been edited, this is fake. And that's what I said to my team. So they then took that and said it was AI. When I realized that they'd put out it was AI, I deleted the story immediately and, then went forward with saying it's a very, very real video. It's just been, it's a 7-minute video that has been edited.
You were at the event, so-called event. You obviously know that you went through that discussion with the man. Of course you knew it wasn't fake. You're trying to cover your ass. If I went through an event and I know I deliberately lied and I got arrested for it and I got charged for that event, and then the video came out 5, 10, 15, whatever amount of years later, showing that same event that I had got arrested for, you obviously know it's not AI. You obviously know it isn't. So cut the shit.
Specifically to show me in a particular light, So I think there was a misunderstanding there for sure.
Obviously, there's a lot of things that we need to unpack about that video, but you mentioned that, you hate men in that video. And obviously you describing everything that you've gone through psychologically, one could argue that, it's understandable why you would kind of have that viewpoint. But you've mentioned that your dad didn't contribute to it. It was your stepdad. And then you also entered into abusive relationships. What did those abusive relationships look like? What did you experience?
In relation to the video, the person that I was in a relationship with, it was over a period of 18 months. When I first entered a relationship with this guy, generally I would, be naive enough, because I'm someone who wears their heart on their sleeve naturally in every scenario, every situation. And
the way you usually like to hurt men, you weren't able to hurt him.
Well, I did, because in the relationship I continued to cheat on him. Remember, their realization.
Okay. One of the things that led me to even entering this relationship was just being vulnerable enough to take people for face value. The manipulation that went into pursuing the relationship from him, early on in the relationship really was, when I look back and reflect, I think, okay, I definitely was in a really broken state. When I look back at that video, because, I've watched it a couple times, and just to set the record straight, that video was filmed almost 10 years ago. The person who I was speaking about in that video wasn't arrested and wasn't prosecuted. Whilst I said some extremely, extremely, vile things in that video, a lot of people have really focused on the hate and the anger. And
I'm so sorry. I'm just going to cut you, because you said the person in the video that you were referring to was not prosecuted, was not arrested, was not charged?
Absolutely not. He wasn't, you know, he wasn't charged. He didn't go to jail. And actually the video was provided to the police. And because the video was provided to the police, he managed to get away with those charges. And
he managed to get away with those charges. Listen to what she just said. The man wasn't legitimately charged. He was lied on. You lied to the police and got the man up on charges. You deliberately had sex with the man. He was charged. The video got his ass off. Can you gentlemen hear the lack of accountability that this woman is, the amount of mental gymnastics that she's executing right now? Holy Christ. I would have been very happy with hearing, listen, I'm really sorry I screwed up. I was in a bad headspace back then, and I'm sorry that I actually said that, and I apologize to the man many times. I was not the best person. I would have accepted that, or any man or society would have accepted that. But for her, as a sociopath, this is normal for her to justify her BS. Holy crap.
The result of that video being provided to the police, I was charged, caution, and I had to go on probation. So I have a criminal record, and you know, that was a decision made by the police at the time. So I really had to pay the price.
Okay, so
she had to pay the price. Fuck. Whoo, man, my blood is boiling, man. She had to pay the price. She got cautioned, and she has a police record. That's the price she paid. Yet the man she lied on was facing 12 years of imprisonment. Loss of everything. But she can come on air and justify why she did it with absolutely no freaking remorse whatsoever. This is the mind of today's modern woman. This is insane listening to. My wife was right. This woman is a psychopath. Anybody doing any business with this woman or supporting her should freaking just disconnect right now. This is not a person you want to be associated with in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I said it. If I did something like this, I would have expected you to do the same damn thing to me. Holy Christ. This is triggering, man.
We're moving along a bit quickly here. So the video, the man that released the video, Gucci Walker, I believe, right? Am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah. He released a statement saying that his friend, the reason why he made the video was because his friend was charged with a false rape case. Yeah. And at the hands of you planned it. You had the man in your house where you both had intercourse, and then the police caught him there. So he was going to jail. He couldn't bust case on this particular matter because he was found in your house. But you're saying that that didn't happen.
No, so he did get arrested, and because the video, you know, was provided to the police as evidence, he was released. He never got charged, and he, you know, I never saw Denzel again. That was, you know, over 8 years ago.
She never answered the question. She never answered the freaking question. Whew.
We've spoken, we've never seen. He went on with his life. We made a lot of mistakes during that relationship. That was probably one of the most traumatic. I've been through two very, very traumatic relationships in my life. One of those, when I say traumatic, you know, violent and abusive. One of those was with Denzel, the person that was in question in the video. And his ex-partner warned me. She was a teacher. She had a non-molestation order against him. And she said, look, this guy, she told me exactly what was going to happen in the relationship. And I didn't believe her. Denzel, you know, convinced me also not to believe her. And, you know, and I really paid the price of that. One of the biggest things, that came out of the relationship is during the time that we were together, I fell pregnant. I ended up contracting an STI. He gave me gonorrhea at the time. At the time I was working at Microsoft, I had a very successful career with a 6-figure salary. And he told me that he was an ex-football player, semi-pro football player. only to later discover that actually he worked on the railways. He was living at his mum's house on the couch.
Holy Christ. Are you just as confused as I am? She asked one simple question. He was in charge. The video was released. Nothing happened. He was abusive. I had two other abusive relationships. One was with him. He had a girlfriend who was a school teacher who warned me about him. And then I got pregnant. Oh, and I caught an STD. We are 10 freaking subjects in, and I'm not even finished yet. I just had to recall all of those from memory. That's how deep she is trying to frigging bury the freaking question that was asked of her. The only other place I've seen this recently was in the whole Sadia Khan interview with Abba and Preach. Let me see how much more she's going to dig in.
And the car that he'd met me in, which was a brand new Range Rover, belonged to the girl that he was dating at Brown Eagle. It was someone else's vehicle. So that was only, months into the relationship, I was discovering these things. I found a secret phone in his car. There was a whole array of women that he was meeting up with, and sleeping with at the same time while he was living in my house. And any single time that I confronted him, the backlash was, a verbal, physical abuse. And during the time that we was in the relationship, I called the police 19 times because I was at fear of my life. My son was living with me at the time. I'm a single mom, and my son was around 7 at the time. And that was one of the worst things, that I've ever experienced, was to see my son, witness me getting beaten up by this man. And he wasn't just a man, he was a street thug. He was a guy off.
19 different subjects. I could have maybe 20 different subjects deep with that one question. That's how deep she tried to cover that one lie. 20 different subjects later. Whoo! I don't know how much more of this I can take. I'm going to give it 2 more minutes to see if they ask a different question. But this is just insane. Insane.
And because of the fact that each time I called the police for abuse, whether it was abuse, in front of or, isolated me where he wasn't at home, because there was a child at home, social services were involved. And at the last point where he was arrested, my main concern was keeping him safe. That was the ultimate thing for me. Social services were, I was at complete risk of losing him because I was in this relationship with this abusive man.
At what point did you decide everything that you're going through in this relationship, the abuse that you were enduring, when did you decide that in order for me to get him back, because that's what you mentioned in the video, that you were going to make this false allegation? Like, when did that thought process land?
So every single time the police were called, the follow-up was made. There was a non-molestation order. There was a restraining order, so he couldn't, come back to the house. But he would always turn back up at the house, crying, begging me, apologizing. He's not going to do it again, and I need to forgive him, that I'm his baby girl, and everything was going to be okay. And being naive and vulnerable, at the time I would take him back, believe his lies, and not realizing at the time I was experiencing, what we call today is severe narcissism.
All right, I can't go on further. Just think about what she said. I called the police 19 different times. 19 different times. 19. You call the police 19 times on a man and you refuse to leave that man. Just think about that shit, gentlemen. Woo! Man, I have never heard a woman lie so much in public. Seriously. This woman really, really has a problem. It's clear. Gentlemen, you got to know how to vet women. You got to know how to freaking ask the right questions to not get involved with this type of woman, because she could destroy you, my friend. You got to vet these women carefully. And whichever man, partly she's with a guy now, if he watched this video, he should wake the hell up and realize that he is not with a freaking sound woman whatsoever. It could get very ugly for you. My good man, whoever you are with this woman, be very, 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 did I say very? Careful. So my friends, listen, I'm going to lock it off there. Let me know your thoughts. By all means, let's have a conversation in the comment section. If you haven't seen the original video with the Andrew Tate issue, where I presented her at the end of that video, go back and watch it because it's freaking bizarre. It's insane. Okay? So my friends, stay strong, stay vigilant, protect yourselves at all times. And until tomorrow, remember, whenever in doubt, always, always ask an older man. I'll see you soon. Cheers.